Here's a V38 off of a Texoma 600, would match a 500 and a 330. Here's the back of it, haven't disassembled it yet. Got one of the pistons out. And this is what that looks like. Got your spring, got that metal spacer. Then you have this nylon, Teflon, whatever you want to call it, spacer, your quad ring. Here's the cup that goes on the bottom. And then at the top, you also will have another quad ring spacer. And then here's your two metal, square metal brackets or spacers, and you've got the wiper sitting right there. While disassembling a V38, I would say it's pretty critical to, keep these in line or in order. So that one needs to go back in here. Technically, it would match this one, but better safe than sorry. Always just put it back. Keep everything pretty tight and right. Don't be missing or mixing things around. So I got the winch piston out and then your Kelly bar piston out. And here's some of the differences. So you can tell that obviously this one is a little bit longer, indicated by the cup size. And on some of the newer ones that they made, specifically I want to say when Terex bought it, redrilled and took over, they would have your Kelly bar piston as short as these two. They would work, but your in and out of the hole was slower. Pretty much this longer one creates like a 2-speed, more or less. You can come up, kind of slower, or if you pull all the way back, it allows more flow. It's a lot faster. So that's kind of what that looks like. With some of the differences of the smaller two pistons versus the Kelly bar piston, obviously the cup, and if you can tell, there's some bearings in there. That's what those little ball bearings are and whatnot. There's normally like a snap ring or something underneath there or in here that you could pull out and to mess with all those. This one has it. I've been on a rig, on a job, actually on that 500 right there, where the bearing just fell apart and it started causing problems. Once I took that off, the bearings came out. In our experience and talking to Chuck Denman, who's done this for a long time, pretty much don't even worry about it. Take them out, keep on rolling. So pretty much that in our other valve bank is just kind of sitting freely, more or less, and it has not caused damage or done anything weird or wonky in over 2 or 3 years that we took these bearings out and ran it as such. So the order in which this goes, obviously when you go back to put everything on, you need to make sure and put, you got to put your square bracket or metal spacer on first, and this is going on to the bottom, onto here. Then you get your other spacer or Teflon piece that goes on next, and then your quad ring. You slip it back in, and then you go quad ring first, because you always want your seal to be towards the hydraulics, then your spacer, and then your double metal bracket or spacer set with the wiper on it, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. So I got the wiper out, and you can see there's that spring on top. This is what it looks like. These normally don't go bad because that just keeps the crap from getting back in. But the important thing to notice is this is how it sits. This is your top piece, and the top piece has that wider circle. Your bottom piece will have the smaller one, and when you put it back on, you need to make sure that spring is on top. You don't want it to sink down to the bottom or something, but that's how that goes. Wider piece or larger diameter is on top. One interesting thing I would like to add as well, sometimes you get to where you're trying to go down or up and it's just kind of catching, it's not wanting to do anything, and you just keep, there's something going on within the housing that is stopping that. It's not on these, or if it is, I can't tell where it's at. Sometimes there's a roll pin in here that kind of keeps this whole set together. This one is done by an Allen head, which I want to say most of them are, but for whatever reason, sometimes there's a roll pin, and I've had it where that roll pin started coming out and it got into that spring, which kept me from, you know, being able to do what I needed. Not a big deal. You just, you don't even have to take all that out. All you would do is while you're there, you drop that cup down, you should be able to see it, and you would just punch it back in. Now, you are gonna have, that's the fix for the day, finish drilling, or, you know, get done with the job. After that, you would come back out, you would drop that, you would find wherever that roll pin was, and I would suggest either taking it all the way out, getting a new one, putting that back in, or, you know, make sure to somehow expand that roll pin, mushroom it out a little bit, then stick it back in so it retains that tension and it won't come back out. But that is sometimes a problem that will happen. Here is our V38 stripped down, cleaned out all that, sprayed out, put some hydraulic oil in there to get it all clean and right. As you can see, all the fittings are off and they're all O-rings. They're all gonna be flanges like that. Everything's out except for these two, I guess you could call them fittings, but really that's a piston in there. This is pretty much like the flow regulator, you know, higher PSI, lower PSI. If that's set and everything's fine and it's not sputtering, leave that alone. What's inside of here that does that is this little, I don't know what you want to call it, a poppet, you know, a cone, whatever it is. What happens, why you would need to change it, is that tip gets burnt out after a long time or misuse, and then it'll start causing problems in your V38, and you would just change that out. That's what we got. Time to put new seals in and put it all back together. And here's all the Kelly bar, level cylinder, winch. One thing to keep in mind is the health of the piston, and these are actually looking really good. There's no scoring on it, not really. Looks pretty healthy. I'm trying to find, so you can kind of see, you know, that looks bad, but it's not in terms of like depth. You know, you can't really feel it, but that is a, you know, that will cause leaking sooner. But you know, we've got some that are a lot worse than this, a lot worse, and they still function fine. You're just gonna have leaking sooner. Talking to the guys at CIA on this V38, so you can redo the whole thing, all the seals, put it up together, and in our experience, and their 50-something years, 60-something years of experience, is if you get 3 months out of that, not leaking, you did pretty good. Well, why is that? Why go through all the effort? Well, one, it's good just to do it, but the reason why that's gonna leak is this thing is at least 20 years old. I mean, that's probably one of the newer ones if you didn't buy it from Terex and it came up from redrill. So just think of the thousands and tens of thousands of holes and how many times every day, down a bite, up a bite, down a bite, up a bite, you know, level cylinder, winch. How many times those things have come up and down. They are well used. So you're gonna get 3 months or so out of resealing it, and then it'll slowly start leaking, and then it'll build back up to however it was. And that's just that's where you're at, unless you want to spend the money and the however long wait to get one from Terex, if they still indeed make them. One last thing as well is, so if you're having problems and you realize, oh my gosh, something's going on with my spring, whatever, it's a 9/16, at least on these Allen head or Allen wrench, to tighten and loosen those. This one, it's got a roll pin, and then you would get some skinny wrenches in there, and I believe you just turn that off, if I'm not mistaken. I've never really messed with that, so don't count on that. I'm not familiar, but I believe that's how you do that. But that's definitely how you do those, 9/16, and tighten them up or loosen them off, and that's how you would work with those. And if that happens while it's on there, not a big deal. You just drop the cup, that comes down, and you would just hit it while it's on there. You don't have to take it all apart or take it off, unless the spring is broken. I still think you can change it while it's on the machine, but I have not had to go through that yet. One added measure that is a good thing before you put everything back together is wire brush all the plates. You know, the top you want clean surfaces, or the bottom, and then the top you want clean surfaces, and then on the back side where all the fittings are, wire brush all that off, get it real clean so that when everything seats, there's nothing creating space or none of that, so you get real good seals on everything.